Isn't this just energy with extra steps? Hello and welcome back. This week I am playing Mono White Warp in Legacy, and this is a new deck that was born off of the Warp mechanic that was debuted in Edge of Eternities. If you're unfamiliar with the mechanic, it is a alternative casting cost for spells where you can play the spell for a cheaper cost, but you exile it at the end of your turn, and then you can play it from exile for its mana cost on a later turn. So what this deck is trying to do is take advantage of some overcosted creatures with beneficial effects, such as Starfield Shepherd and Exalted Sunborn, to play them earlier than you normally would to get value, and build off of the energy package of Guide of Souls and Ocelot Pride to be able to overwhelm your opponent with tokens and life gain and takeover. What this deck is doing is it's kind of a hybrid Hate Bear Blink energy deck where you've got the energy deck core backed up with disruptive permanents such as Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, Felia, Exuberant Shepherd, and Witch Enchanter to be able to constantly reuse ETBs to get value, to gain life, blow up enchantments, tax your opponent, blink your opponent's tokens and blockers out of the way, and overall just try to overrun your opponents. This is also backed up with a little bit of removal in the form of Swords to Plowshares to take care of problematic creatures from your opponent. And we have Ephemerate as an additional blink spell here that can act as counters for removal to blink the target out so that the removal fizzles to save your creatures, and as another way to be able to keep your warp creatures after they've entered the battlefield with warp. So you can warp a creature, ephemerate it, it comes back, the warp trigger will only see the original copy, which is no longer on the battlefield, and you get to keep it around. So instead of waiting until turn 5, you can get Starfield Shepherd and Exalted Sunborn down easier and be able to reuse the ETB on Starfield Shepherd, which is another Edge of Eternities card. When it ETBs, you can search your library for a plains or a 1-drop creature. So it's a way to get a little bit of card advantage and refuel your hand, but also make sure that you're continually hitting your land drops so you can eventually get up to your 5 mana to be able to cast these 2 cards from exile at a later point in the game. Exalted Sunborn, the other new card in this deck, is a flying lifelinker with a decent body, which is nice on its own, but the real benefit of this is it's a token doubler. So it acts as an additional kind of City's Blessing with Ocelot Pride, so that when you're making cat tokens off of Ocelot Pride or off of a Johnny, you're able to get double those tokens and start overrunning your opponent even quicker. We've also got the Johnny package in this, just a normal energy staple, produces bodies for your Guide of Souls, and the backside of a Johnny is a token generator in and of itself, which works really well with Exalted Sunborn to just start kind of overrunning your opponent. We have Halia, Guided by Light, another new card from Edge of Eternities. It kind of acts like another Guide of Souls on a bigger body. Just a way to be able to gain life, to make sure you're constantly triggering your Ocelot Prides to make more tokens and be able to gain life back against aggro decks once you've been able to get it down. It also has a warp cost, which is nice, so you can't get this down as early as turn 1 if you need to, or blink it turn 2 to be able to have it keep around. And it's got a decent sized body on it as well, so it's a little bit more robust version of Guide of Souls. Mana base is kind of weird. It's sort of a hybrid between just like a normal mono white disruptive mana base with a bunch of plains and wastelands and Karakas and a little bit of fast mana and a few ancient tombs. And we have some chrome boxes as well to be able to get our higher end stuff out a little bit sooner. So it's kind of towing the line between a traditional white disruptive aggro mana base and a Stompy mana base. And the deck kind of plays like a hybrid of the two. So I'm a little concerned about the mana base in this deck, even though it should be super simple because it's a mono white mana base and we should always have our colors. But the fact that we do have Ancient Tombs and Wastelands as colorless sources, I'm a little worried about kind of hitting our mana cost consistently. But that's also part of what Starfield Shepherd is for, is to make sure that we can find our white mana as we need it. We can also use the backside of Witch Enchanter as a land to be able to make sure that we're hitting our land drops as well. So hopefully the mana isn't a concern, but I'm going into this a little concerned about it just out of my testing from before filming this. Sideboard is kind of your pretty typical mono white stuff that you have in the deck. You've got Rest in Peace for Graveyards, Fairy Macabres, and Unlicensed Hearse. The format is just very, very graveyard centric right now. So a lot of graveyard hate. Null Rods and Stony Silence for artifact decks, Deafening Silence, and another copy of Thalia to be able to shut down Storm combo style decks. And then we've got Exercise as kind of the weird sideboard card in this one. It's a really nice removal spell up against large creatures because it exiles, so it's a good, clean way to answer something like a Merit Lage or a large Murktide Regent or something like that, in addition to Swords to Plowshares, and also being able to get around a Chalice on one and still have removal. It also hits artifacts and enchantments, which is nice, so it's a way to take out something like an Omniscience from a Show and Tell, and the fact that it exiles means that it's able to take out a Resolve the One Ring. So that is a nice upside of Exercise over some other removal spells you could be having in the sideboard. But this is Mono White Warp for Legacy. Let's see how this goes through the meta, take it through a league, see if we can overrun our opponents and get value by blinking a bunch of things and using the warp mechanic in the format. And I'll catch you all in the wrap-up.
Play any of the decks you see on this channel with a Mana Traders rental subscription. With a variety of tiers to fit any budget, Mana Traders lets you play whatever you want in whatever format you want. Use code DasSourKraut at checkout and become a better player today. Alright, lost the die roll. Let's go. I can't keep a one-lander. I've been tricked by that way too many times, so we're going to have to ship this one. Okay, we can do this. We're going to have to keep this. Probably pitch one of the Witch Enchanters. And we're probably going to just lead off with Plains into Ocelot Pride and hope that we get around the table. Or we could be up against Oops All Spells or Mono Red Prison. None of this is going to matter. So we will see what happens here. If they just Blood Moon us, I don't really care about that. If they Chalice on one us, it is annoying. But, okay, Chalice on one. We have ways around that eventually. I don't super care about that at the moment. It does stop my turn one play. But we're hitting land drops. I don't think it's worth going after their mana at this point. That may be wrong, but since they got the Chrome Mox anyways, they just need a Soul Land and they can do most of what they want to do anyways if this really is Mono Red Stompy. And yeah, they had the Soul Land anyways. The One Ring. Okay. So they kept a slower defensive hand, it looks like. I'm still not super concerned about what's going on yet, but that is concerning. We can flood the board pretty quickly if we need to. I think we're going to go ahead and warp this Starfield Shepherd. Just keep making sure we're hitting our land drops and hope that they just don't draw into anything super aggressive before we can blow up their Chalice. So just grab a Plains. Next turn we'll probably play Halia. But I am concerned about them having an active the One Ring before we can do anything. Fury is also going to be an absolute beating. Another Chrome Mox. I wouldn't mind a Chrome Mox of our own. Like a Chrome Mox or a Soul Land would be the absolute best thing we could get. Chuck to Blood Moon. So they're seeing we're playing on basics. The Blood Moon's pointless. We just gotta fade them finding threats, basically. Hard casting a Fury. I mean, at least that's a Fury out of hand that can't wipe our board. However, we don't have a good way to deal with that until we get rid of the Chalice and we draw a Swords to Plowshares. And so far, all we've done is play lands and pass. They saw us warp this, so they know we're on the white warp deck, but... Alright, going to combat before playing any lands if they have any. So we're going to take 6 here, which is annoying, but... If they drop one more threat, we're probably just going to scoop it up and move to the next one. The turn 1 Chalice kind of just screwed up what our hand was trying to do. Fury number 2. Yeah, we'll take one more draw. Then I think if we don't hit like multiple removal spells in a row, I think we're probably just going to have to scoop it up. Well, there's the Chrome Mox I wanted before that we just didn't have. So at this point... We'll play Witch Enchanter. There is a chance that we can get out of this, because we can also blow up 2 things here. Because we can blow up Chalice. I really don't want to throw this Halia under here, so... But our best bet here is we throw something under this, blink. I think we gotta get rid of the Ocelot Pride, honestly. I don't like it, but we need the Ephemerate up. We do have multiple Halia effects, though, so maybe... we're good throwing the Halia under the Chrome Mox here. Yeah, I think we're actually going to go ahead and do that. Throw the Halia under here. Our plan is to block with Witch Enchanter, ephemerate it, blow up a Chrome Mox, flashback Ephemera again, blow up the other Chrome Mox, but they already have a One Ring ticking up to 4. I'm sure they're going to find another one here. Because we could stall long enough they just die to this, but they're going to find another one before that happens, I'm sure. Lava Spur boots. Okay, that's mostly fine. Equipping the boots to one of the Furies. So we will block the Fury with the boots on it. Alright, move to blocks. Block there. And then we will ephemerate the Witch Enchanter. Save ourselves 8 life. This will come back. We'll blow up one of the Chrome Moxes. Take 6. Go to 8. I guess there is a world where we can shut them off of mana, and they end up dying to this One Ring over the course of 3 more turns if we can just produce chump blockers. Well, we'll see what happens. Magus of the Moon, that's totally fine. We're playing on basics as it is. But it does mean that we can't really cut them off of their mana anymore, because we can't wasteland one of their lands. They're also not losing any life to this Ancient Tomb now. We really need, like, a Halia or a Guide of Souls or something so I can start making tokens off of this Ocelot Pride. We will cast it on the Witch Enchanter, blow up the other Chrome Mox. We could also blow up the Lava Spur boots, but I don't think that's a big deal at the moment. I'd rather just try to restrict their overall mana if we can. So I could play the Starfield Shepherd, get a Guide of Souls, and play that, which is probably the play here, and then try to just turtle up as much as possible behind all of this. So basically our plan here is just chump block these two and hope that we can somehow get through all of this. Like, if they don't find another of the One Ring, we actually probably want to just hang on to the Starfield Shepherd, chump block with these, kill them in the air. But we'll just have to see what they do here. And Broadside Bombardiers kills us. Okay, they managed to close it out, but that was actually closer than I thought, considering we went 4 turns before we did anything at all. So, against what our opponent's doing, Null Rod's in, Stony Silence in. Beyond that, like, Exercise can kill something, kind of. It gets rid of artifacts and enchantments as well, so that might be worth considering. As far as stuff to take out, I'm tempted to take out these Thalias. They just have so much mana that that doesn't matter anyways. And then maybe trim one Ephemerate since they're going to be on Chalice of the Void anyways. It's just a matter of if we want to bring these Exercises in. I don't think we do. I think we're going to try this, and if we can squeak into a game 3, we might change our sideboard plan, but I think this is good for a game 2. Let's try that. Alright, being on the play will also help quite a bit here. And we can speed out into a Witch Enchanter. So I think we're going to keep this. And we will start off with a Ganjo, Chrome Mox, put one of these Swords to Plowshares under it, and then warp a Starfield Shepherd, go get a basic plane so that we can play around a Blood Moon if we have to. Alright, bit of Swords to Plowshares, warp our Starfield Shepherd, go get a basic planes. We are running out of a little bit, but we have enough that next turn we can Witch Enchanter a Chalice on one or whatever, and then Swords to Plowshares their threat. So instead of grabbing a 1-drop here, we are just going to grab a basic planes to play around Blood Moon so that we have access to multiple white mana. Because I'm also worried about a Karn shutting down the Chrome Mox. Alright, and Starfield Shepherd warps out. On to the opponent's turn. See what they cut their hand on. Did they keep a aggro hand or did they keep a lock hand? Ancient Tomb. Okay, this is playing out exactly how we wanted it to so far. Just a turn 1 Chalice on one, and we have the answer for that in hand. And we drew an Ocelot Pride. Play the Ancient Tomb. Play a Witch Enchanter. Blow up the Chalice on one. Pass the turn. And we have the mana to be able to Starfield Shepherd next turn if we need to. Mountain from the opponent. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That's fine. We have an answer for the token, which is probably what we're going to do, because we want to continue to hammer their life total as much as possible. Alright, Fury pitches Simian Spirit Guide. That's fine. That gets rid of the Witch Enchanter. We still have an easy solution for what's on board at the moment, because we can Swords to Plowshares, and we can play Ocelot Pride. Just try to cut them off of their mana as much as possible. They are going to get to loot. And we hit another Swords to Plowshares. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of the token. We have an answer for the backside now. Play an Ocelot Pride. And pass the turn. And what did they pitch to that? They pitched a Simian Spirit Guide. So they weren't concerned about mana. However, now that we got rid of their Goblin Shaman token, they might be. They get to loot here. Hopefully we just see them chuck 2 random things. They do choose to use the ability. Because if they just kept their hand, that'd be terrifying. Chucked a Shadow Spear and a Chalice of the Void. So they didn't feel like redeploying a Chalice. Throw Mox, okay. Pitching a Sundering Eruption. The One Ring. Okay, that's a little annoying. But we actually have a board presence now. And worst case scenario, we can go ahead and just play the Starfield Shepherd. Grab another Plains. We have a Witch Enchanter. So I actually think we're going to play that, blow up the Fable. So that we don't even have to worry about the backside now. Alright, blow up the Fable so we don't even have to worry about the backside. We still have Swords to Plowshares up to be able to deal with something like Broadside Bombardiers. A Fury would be annoying, but it is what it is. We still have the Starfield Shepherd in the bank to refuel with. Karn would be annoying, but not the end of the world. Opponent is back up to 5 cards. The One Ring is crazy. Fiery Confluence. Well, that sucks. Okay, that does wipe up our board and keeps us off with the Starfield Shepherd. That was indeed a beating. Well, we hit a plane, so we can still play the Starfield Shepherd. And I think we're just going to grab a new Ocelot Pride. Set up for next turn. Opponent taps for One Ring up to 8 cards. They could be incentivized to actually play another Chalice on one now that they saw that we grabbed an Ocelot Pride. And that would shut off our entire hand, but hopefully they don't think it's worth it at this point. They figure we answered the first one. Urza's Saga. Okay, that is a problem. They also have 5 mana to be able to just hardcast a Fury now. Magus of the Moon. Okay, I don't care about that at all. And it locks their Urza's Saga on Chapter 1. And this does look like it's another Chalice of the Void. It is. But we still have the Starfield Shepherd. So as long as they don't find another of the One Ring, they are very much at risk of just dying to that. And we hit an Exalted Sunborn, but we don't have the mana to be able to play it. Okay, well, we just get in and pass the turn. They can't block this. This is 3 in the air. They're going to take 3 off of their One Ring, go down to 3. So they need to find another of the One Ring, or they need to find a way to deal with Starfield Shepherd. We also can kill this Magus. Or no, we can't. The Source of Posture is shut down. Never mind. They either need to find another of the One Ring, or find some... Actually, it's pretty much just they have to find another of the One Ring or they're dead. And if they take their turn off just to play another one, okay. That's mostly okay. However, they have 9 cards in hand, about to go up to 10. I'm sure they have a way to deal with this over the course of 2 turns. Alright, they're just passing the turn, so they didn't find an answer yet. They also haven't tapped their One Ring. So they will have 2 or 3 draws next turn to find a way out of this. Chucked an Urza Saga, understandable. We hit another Ocelot Pride. Well, we can't do anything, so we'll just pass the turn, and we gotta fade their 2 to 3 draws to find a way out of this? Alright, they didn't activate it, so they get 2 draws to be able to find an answer for the Starfield Shepherd. Okay, they found another of the One Ring. That gives them another turn. Played an Ancient Tomb, okay. And a Fable of the Mirror Breaker, so that theoretically gives them a few more draws to find a way out of this. And they're not going to offer up their Magus of the Moon. We hit a Stony Silence. Well, we're going to go ahead and play that. Shut down their the One Ring. And, like, we can warp in the Exalted Sunborn, but it doesn't do anything. So they've got 2 loots and their draw step to be able to try to find an answer to the Starfield Shepherd. What do they chuck here? They chuck Shatter Skull Smashing and Lava Spur Boost. Shatter Skull Smashing is an answer to this. I'm very surprised they chucked that. Okay, they just had another one. Well, we need a land to be able to play this Exalted Sunborn, and then we still have a chance, because this lives through a Fury, and they don't have the mana to be able to Shatter Skull Smashing it. They need something like Broadside Bombardiers. Land? Another Exalted Sunborn. I mean, technically that's a land. Or Starfield Shepherd. I just don't know if we have the time is the problem. Luckily, Exalted Sunborn has lifelink, so we can profitably block with it, even if they try to go wide. The worst case scenario would be they have a Fury that they can copy with the reflections of Kiki-Jiki, or if they just have a Broadside Bombardiers right now. Another Fable, okay. That's gonna be some more looting to try to find an answer for this Exalted Sunborn. And another Chalice on one, that's fine. Alright, so it really just comes down to, do they find an answer for this Exalted Sunborn? And we hit an Ancient Tomb. We will cast the Exalted Sunborn. And then, do they find an answer for this within 3 draws is the question. There's nothing we can do. We're just fading the top 3 cards of their deck at this point. And they don't have enough mana to be able to Shatter Skull Smashing this. It's going to have to be like a Fury to be able to copy it, or they're going to need a Broadside Bombardiers. They checked a Chromox and a Magus of the Moon. In theory, they could attack in and then Fury to be able to kill this, because we do have to block. Like, we don't have a choice. But if they have a Fury, they're better off doing it pre-combat anyways. Or they just have a Fiery Confluence. Alright, they managed to find it out. Good game, opponent. On to the next round. Alright, round 2. Lost the die roll. Again, a 1-lander. Like, this hand is really good if we hit more lands, but I'm not going to get fooled by the 1-lander trap. No white mana. Gotta ship this entirely. Alright, we can keep this. I think we're going to put back one of the Swords to Plowshares and probably the Exalted Sunborn. And start off with Guide of Souls on 1, Felia on 2. I have a Swords to Plowshares if I need it. Another Stompy deck, but opponent is not doing anything with the mana on turn 1. There is a world where if we draw another land, I'm tempted to just kill this right now. But I think we need to progress our board state first. So play the Guide of Souls, pass the turn, hope we don't get bit for not wastelanding the Ancient Tomb, but our mana is a little too valuable at this point to be able to give it up. Snow-covered waste, so this looks like it's probably Eldrazi. And if all they do is play a Fleshraker, we can Swords it. This could be... Okay, it's a Kozilek's Command for 1. So they're going up to 4 mana. If we draw a land, we might actually just go ahead and Wasteland the Ancient Tomb. Otherwise, we'll play Wasteland, hold up Felia. Halia. Okay, well, we'll just play the Wasteland and pass the turn. We'll hold up Felia. Plan on flashing in Felia, and then probably warping Halia or Starfield Shepherd. I'm not sure which will be more important at this point. Possibly Starfield Shepherd to keep hitting our land drops. 4 mana. 5 mana. For an Eldrazi. What is this? Reality Smasher. Okay. We'll take a hit for 5. That's fine. We'll still just plan on flashing in Felia. We will flash in the Felia. And we hit an Ocelot Pride. So I think what we want to do here is warp in the Starfield Shepherd, go grab a basic, play the basic, get in with Felia, blink the Starfield Shepherd, and then when it comes back, we'll get another Plains. It doesn't really matter what order these come in. Starfield Shepherd will enter, we'll get another Plains, and we will probably plan on pitching that Plains to the Swords to Plowshares to be able to kill this Reality Smasher. Unless they play something scarier that we need to take care of. Eldrazi Temple, so they've got 5 mana, or 6 mana. So this could be like, well, they're doing 4, so what is this, a Thought-Knot here? Okay, so now, do we care more about the Thought-Knot here, or do we care more about the Reality Smasher? I think we still care more about the Reality Smasher. So let's go ahead and get rid of the Thought-Knot Seer. They'll see another card that we draw, which is fine. It's another Ocelot Pride, so they're incentivized to take the Halia instead. Yep, took the Halia. We'll take another 5 from the Reality Smasher, but we will soon be able to deal with that, I think. We draw an Ephemerate. I actually kind of like that quite a bit. So what? We can play Plains. Probably... Do we want to get rid of their colorless mana or their colored mana? Probably colored, because something like a Line Breaker is extremely scary. Though if we go after one of the soul lands, this is definitely interesting how we want to do this. We could also blink the Starfield Shepherd first. Go grab a Guide of Souls. That's actually probably the play here. Let's ephemerate the Starfield Shepherd, go grab a Guide of Souls, play Guide of Souls, play Ocelot Pride, start getting some energy, get in with the Felia. We will blink the Starfield Shepherd again. And then I think we are going to go ahead and take out their colored mana. I'm very scared of something like a Eldrazi Linebreaker. We will put this on the bottom. And then do we want another creature? I actually like the idea of another Ocelot Pride here. If they find a Chalice, it sucks, but it's also still not the end of the world. Okay, they had colored mana anyways with Cavernous Souls. 3 mana looks like a Fleshraker. It is. Okay. Can they keep this going? They've got 3 more mana. And this looks like an Eldrazi Linebreaker. Yep. That's exactly what I was afraid of. The question is what are they going to put this on? And can we outmuscle this becomes the question. Because we are about to get a ton of life here. Gonna give it to itself. Okay. So this is 12 trample damage. Okay, so I think we can take out the Linebreaker, eat the rest of the damage, because this will eat 3 of the 12. So we'll take 9, go to 2. Okay, I think this is fine. We'll go to 2. Then we'll gain a whole shitload of life. Oh, we'll go to 1. Apparently my math was wrong there. But we are about to gain a whole shit ton of life unless they have a 1-drop that they can play to trigger this Fleshraker. And Ephemerate comes back. So I don't think we're going to be attacking with this Ocelot. So we can blink the Ocelot Pride, gain some life. And a Witch Enchanter we can't play. So, I mean, Ocelot Pride, gain some life. Play another Ocelot Pride, gain some more life. I suppose we could have thrown one of these Ocelot Prides into the air. I'm tempted to just blink out the spawn token, honestly. But I like the idea of getting some more life by blinking something else here. And I think we're going to go ahead, play this as a land tapped. We'll get in. We can get in with both of these. We'll probably put... do we want to blink an Ocelot Pride, or do we want to blink out this Eldrazi spawn token? I think we're going to blink an Ocelot Pride, just get some more life. And then we will put the counters on Guide of Souls. And then we should get enough tokens to be able to profitably block almost anything here. And we are going to get quite a bit of life. And this is going to come back. We want the Ocelot Pride triggers on the bottom so that we get the other Ocelot Pride back first. And all 3 of them see this. Alright, so we got our life totals back up to 11. We've got an army of cats to be able to block with. They've got 1 card in hand. Now 2. There are worlds where this can fall apart. Another Linebreaker is part of what I was afraid of, but we have blockers this time. And they are dead on the crackback. But they've got 5 mana to be able to cast something else if they have it. To create another spawn, ping us again. And we absolutely will throw these Ocelot Prides in front of something if we have to. If they just go all out and attack, and we can throw something else into the air to fly over. I think they would need something like a K command to be able to get into this. They're just going to put all of it on the Reality Smasher. That's fine. So this has trample. I think we're just going to throw all of the cats in front of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm honestly tempted to throw all of the Ocelot Prides in front of it as well, because we just have lethal on the crackback here. But a K command does kind of screw that up a little bit, because 3 is trampling over. If they chain a K command together, I think we're going to throw 2 of these Ocelot Prides in front of it just to pad our life total a little bit more. So 1 will trample over, we will gain 2 life off of this exchange, and then we shouldn't be dead to a Kozilek's command. And this will remove the Reality Smasher off of the board. Like, this seems like a bit of overkill, and I'd like to hang on to these other Ocelot Prides, but... And I can blink a blocker out of the way. I've got 2 things I can throw in the air. And we have an Ephemerate, so I guess we're just going to get in, attack with everything. We will blink the Linebreaker out of the way. And we will throw the Ocelot Pride into the air. A K command lets them live another turn if they have it. But we can save whatever they try to kill. And it looks like they're just letting damage go through. Alright, we took game 1 against Eldrazi. I like it. In the sideboard, I think all we honestly really have are exercises. We probably bring in the exercises, take out the Thalias, because Thalia really isn't doing anything in this matchup. All of their spells are creatures other than Kozilek's Command, and they're going to have so much mana they can pay the extra one anyways. So just bring in a little more removal, and try like that. No lands, gotta ship it. Come on, deck, really? Going to 5. Okay, we have lands, we'll keep this. Probably pitch Ephemerate, and probably the Karakas, and plan on just flashing in Felia at the end of turn 1. City of Traders from the opponent, 2 mana. I'm assuming this is a Chalice on 1. It is. Okay. So we could Wasteland here if we wanted to. Well, with the Swords to Plowshares, I think we're going to throw that under Chromox. We can Wasteland to keep them off of 4 mana next turn, and keep the Witch Enchanter to be able to blow this up later. We also can just blink it with Felia and put it on 0. How do we want to do this? I think we're going to start off with Plains. I think we're just going to go ahead with the Felia plan here. We're going to put Swords to Plowshares under this. And pass the turn, we'll flash in Felia, see what our draw is, and see if we want to Wasteland something. Like, it just feels bad Wastelanding at the city, because it's going to go away anyways. But it could keep them off of a 3 or a 4 drop this turn, in theory. And like I said, Felia... Ooh, they kept a 1-lander. Interesting. Well, we will flash in Felia. They could have a Dismember for Felia. We hit another Witch Enchanter. I think we're going to get in, blink their Chalice to start, and then I think I am going to go ahead and just blow up the City of Traders. They kept a 1-lander, so they can't possibly have multiple lands. This also shuts off any fast mana that they have. Alright, they hit a Waste finally. We hit an Exercise. I don't hate that. We'll play the Witch Blessed Meadow tapped. Get in. We'll just blink the Chalice again. And we have an Exercise to be able to get rid of whatever the first Eldrazi they play is. This also is an answer to the One Ring if they have it. Alright, they're starting to hit mana now. But they're still just passing the turn without anything to do. I would very much like a follow-up for this Felia. Another land. We can just play Witch Enchanter, blow up the Chalice of the Void. Or we can continue to hold up Exercise. I think we're going to continue to hold up Exercise. We really don't care about this Chalice right now. We'll just keep blinking it for the hell of it. Because, yeah, I don't really feel the need to blow up this Chalice with the Witch Enchanter. I'd rather hold up Exercise. Alright, they have a Wasteland. They can... Okay, they are deciding they want to attack our mana, which... Okay. I mean, it's a thing you can do. It gets us off of Witch Enchanter. But we have another one if we just need it as a land. Exalted Sunborn. Well, that's something good to play. So we're going to play the Exalted Sunborn. We can blink it with Felia to keep it around. And then we might bolt in this Witch Enchanter just to be able to hold up Exercise. If you got a Dismember, this is your chance. Alright, they do not have the Dismember, so I'm going to be able to blink the Exalted Sunborn and keep it around. And this grows Felia. Hit our opponent to 12. And I am going to bolt in the Witch Blessed Meadow just because we have Exercise, just in case we need it. And now we get the Exalted Sunborn back. It's not really doing anything right now other than just being a body and lifelink. We don't have a token generator at the moment. Opponent is doing something now. Is this just an emergency K command to cycle? Yes, emergency K command just to cycle. That's fine. I've got a 2-turn clock if they don't have a way to deal with it. I have Ugin. Okay, there's some mana ramp. Is this going to be a Thought Not Seer? They could K command for 2 to get rid of the Felia. If it's a Thought Not Seer, we're still going to Exercise it just so we can make sure that we get our damage through, even though they're just going to take whatever we draw. But it'll keep the... Okay, they're going to K command the Felia. Okay. And they get 2 spawns. So we went from a 2-turn to a 3-turn clock. And this is a Thought Not Seer, so we are just going to go ahead and kill that. Oh, it's a sorcery. I thought it was an instant for some reason. Okay, they can have the Exercise. We can fly over the Thought Not Seer. And our attacks just completely negate Thought Not Seer anyways. So I'm not super concerned about that at the moment. And we hit another Witch Enchanter. Well, we'll get in, hit the opponent, get some life back, and then we will go ahead and play this just for the sake of playing it. And we will blow up the Chalice. Just have an extra body on the battlefield. It's an emergency blocker if we need it. Cavern of Souls, okay. So they can drop a line breaker now. Blue Eldrazi mana. This 5 mana, this could be a Reality Smasher. A K command for 3 isn't going to do anything with this other than let them, like, scry. Okay, it is a Reality Smasher. Again, I'm not super concerned about that. I'm going to be able to beat that in the race. They're just getting in with both. That's fine. I'll take 9. I'm going to get 4 of it back anyways. Take our hit. An Ocelot Pride would be a nice draw. Starfield Shepherd. We don't have the mana for that at the moment, but if we warp it, we will next turn. Or, actually, I can do this, go get the Ocelot Pride, play the Ocelot Pride, attack with everything, hit him to 2, gain 4 back, and then I'm going to be able to get a blocker, which gives me the City's Blessing, which actually gives me a bunch of blockers, and they're gonna need something crazy to be able to get out of this. The One Ring, if they have another land, can buy them a turn. Grim Monolith, okay. Going up mana a little bit more. A single spot removal spell doesn't do it. I mean, okay, go ahead. Take out my land. I don't really care about that. And they still have the mana to be able to the One Ring and buy a turn if they have it. It doesn't matter if they hold back blockers. This flies over anyways. If they attack, I'll probably just chump block the Thought-Knot Seer to draw a card to see if there's anything else I can draw to just ensure I get the win. They don't have enough mana to Kozilek's command away the Exalted Sunborn. So I think it's the One Ring or bust here. If they have it, it buys them a turn. Okay, they don't have it. I'm trying to think of what they could have here. Because this Exalted Sunborn alone is lethal. And they don't have enough blockers to be able to survive if I just swing out. They can K command for 4 here. But 4 is not 5, so they still can't get rid of the Exalted Sunborn. And we hit a Felia, so I think what we do is attack with the Exalted Sunborn, attack with all of the cats, and see what they do here. Just hold a couple of blockers back to try to be safe so we don't get blown out. We can flash in the Felia, because the only way I see this going wrong is they somehow have a blowout for all of these creatures. Alright, move to damage. Okay, and we won. I was going to say, the only way I see this going wrong is if they somehow have a way to blow out all of these creatures and then follow it up with an Eldrazi Linebreaker to crack back for lethal. But managed to take down Eldrazi. Okay, on to the next one. Alright, we have 2 lands, Felia, Halia, Starseal Shepherd. I think we're going to go ahead and keep this. It sucks we have to bolt ourselves for our first land, and it's not going to do anything, so we're probably just going to... Wow, today's the Stompy day, apparently. Alright, Patchwork Automaton. That's interesting. So this is Patchwork Stompy aggro. I feel like game 1 we're going to be hard-pressed to do anything here. Especially when they start doing this shit. But once we get established, we are able to blink this out and reset the counters. And we're going to get a whole bunch of redraws. They see the Halia. That's fine. We had another Witch Enchanter. I think we're just going to play the land tapped for now and pass. Like, we could try to blow up their Ancient Tomb, but it's kind of already done its damage. Or they have a second Patchwork Automaton. That was honestly the only thing I was really afraid of. And a Thought Cast, so this is Patchwork 8 cast. And a fuck, yeah, no, we're just dead. We're going to go to the next one. Our opponent just had a blazing fast start there. So... like, we were not getting back into that. We were essentially dead on turn 2. We were going to bring in the Null Rods. Probably bring in the Deafening Silences as well. Against what our opponent's doing, I think we can take out the Ephemerates pretty easily. I think we can take out the Speaker of the Heavens pretty easily. There's something to be said about taking out the Thalias, but they do slow them down a bit. We might just trim some number of Legendaries here. And some number of top-end Warp stuff. And bring in all of our Artifact Hate and then Deafening Silences so they can't just, like, pop off like they just did on turn 1 and turn 2 there. And then we will see. Like, we could also bring in Exercise as well, but I feel like that's probably going to be a little too slow and I don't know what else to cut. If we go to a game 3, we might bring in the Exercises and take out the Thalias. Well, let's try this and see if we can get to a game 3. Alright, just like a turn 1 no-raw would be fantastic here. Okay, we've got a little bit faster of a hand here. So I think we're going to keep this. Because, like, we're going to have our mana under us, and we're going to be able to start blinking their Patchworks with Felia. And we can get double Ocelot Pride by the end of turn 2. And just start making tokens like crazy. And we have a Wasteland for their land, so it's just going to depend on what they have. Okay, they have an Emery. Bend a Patchwork Automaton, an Urza's Bauble, and they still just have a bunch of baubles. I would absolutely love for that to be a Null Rod or a Stony Silence on top. And they are going to get 2 redraws here. They probably have Force of Will in their deck. Thalia. Okay, I mean, that's not bad. We can swing in with the Ocelot Pride, but I don't think it's worth it here. I think we're just going to play Thalia, try to slow them down. It sucks we're not getting our tokens going yet, but we'll save those for next turn. Alright, they have to pay 3 mana to play the Patchwork Automaton. Or, actually, no, it's a creature, so they don't. And they still get a 1 mana Memory Guardian, which is insane. Okay. Well, this is a little annoying. What else do they have? And, okay, or Lava Spur Boot. Ugh, even with our hate, our opponents just got it. I'd still love to see, like, a Stony Silence or a Null Rod or something off of the top here. Iganjo. Okay, well, let's play this. Drop in the Ocelot Pride. We will take our beatings next turn, flash in Felia, and then we can at least blink the Patchwork Automaton to be able to reset its counters. And then after that, we can start wastelanding shit. Automaton's going to 4. We'll take a Swack for 7 here. Probably 8. Yeah, they're going to move the boots, which is fine. It's now got Ward 3, which is a little annoying, but we'll take a Swack for 5. They're leaving the Memory Guardian back, which is interesting. Alright, they could have Metallic Rebuke, but we're here to Felia, so we're going to Felia. Alright, Felia got in, so that at least allows me a free attack to start getting tokens. And we hit an Ancient Tomb, so we can blow up a couple of lands here. The question is what does that do? It restricts their raw amount of mana. So I think we are going to take out the Ancient Tomb. They have a Dismember for what? For Felia? Okay, that's mostly fine. We have another Felia we can flash in. It just means we're going to take another hit here. Unless we want to sacrifice one of our creatures to be able to start getting tokens. I think we're probably just going to take another Schwack for a bit here, pass the turn. Trying to restrict their mana so they can't play as many artifacts. This Ward 3 is annoying as hell. Pinnacle Emissary, okay. They can play a Bauble out of the graveyard. Which actually looks like they're playing a Lotus Petal out of the graveyard, okay. And we can take a Swack for 10 here? 11? At least we can blink the Automaton and reset it. We also can just chump block with Thalia now that they're running out of stuff to do. I think Thalia's probably served her purpose at this point. So we're going to use her to be able to just absorb some damage. We'll flash in Felia, blink the Automaton, and then start trying to go wide with cats. Getting it with the Patchwork. That's fine. Thalia has done her duty. They could have another 0-drop, but we're going to reset the Patchwork anyways. Alright, and those all go away. We're going to flash in another Felia. A Null Rod would be great here. Swords to Plowshares, that actually does it as well. So we can actually Swords the Patchwork to get rid of it entirely, blink the Memory Guardian. The only way this goes wrong is if it's forced blue card in their hand. It seems like these are resolving. Okay, it is. Now we get in an attack. Attack with everything. Blink the Memory Guardian out of the way so that we get in. And we get some life, get some cats. The Automaton is gone. There's no other ones in the graveyard. But they do get their Memory Guardian back. Thoughtcast, okay. They have a chance to rebuild now. Getting back a Lotus Petal, okay. Plays the Lotus Petal, so they want the mana? Ancient Tomb. Undoing it. Are they recasting the Pinnacle Emissary? Yes. Okay. And they're putting the booties on the Memory Guardian. Are they going to attack is the question. Because if they attack, then I can just blink their one blocker out of the way. Okay, they're not attacking. I would like another removal spell, a Witch Blessed Enchanter, something like that. A land. So the question becomes is what do I want to go after? Because I really do need to get in with these things. So I do think I just attack all out. Let's just be mana efficient, blink the Memory Guardian, pay for it. We're going to lose one of our Ocelot prize, but we're going to get a cat to replace it, and we'll gain some life in the process. Make them think we have something here. Like, this is unfortunately slipping away, and they have a token generator on board. Another Emery to fuel more of their graveyard. Just some mana in there, so nothing too crazy, but it is something to be able to produce tokens with. Again, going for mana. They get a token. Cracking the token, or cracking the Lotus Petal. Another Emery to fuel their graveyard even more. Got rid of the tapped one. Okay, Shadow Spear is scary. We need to find a way to deal with that. Equipping the Swift Fleet Boots, that gives them an opportunity to cast the Shadow Spear and equip it. We need a Null Rod to be able to blink the Shadow Spear off of something and then make it so they can't re-equip it. But this one is slipping away, unfortunately. Oh, just playing another Memory Guardian, so they're just still trying to go as wide as possible here. I feel like we could really use some kind of sweeper here. So they've got 3 blockers. Deafening Silence, that kind of slows them down a little bit. But are we just dead in the air? 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, we're just dead. We can blink a token out of the way, but that's not enough. Like, yeah, no, we're just dead. Okay. Good game, opponent. Just overrunning us with the Pinnacle Emissary deck. I really do like their opponent's deck. I played it recently, and there's a video from a couple weeks back where I trophy with it. So make sure you go check that out if you want to see some cool gameplay of this deck. Finally won a die roll. And yeah, we can keep this. We will probably... We're going to throw a redundant Ajani under the Chrome Mox, and then probably just hold up Felia to be able to warp in Starfield Shepherd and blink it. Like, we could play an Ajani on turn 1, but I'd rather hold up Felia and Swords to Plowshares. And opponent's mulliganing deep, so this very well could be Oops All Spells, or some sort of, like, wheel deck here. But play the Plains, play a Chrome Mox, throw the redundant Ajani under the Chrome Mox, and pass the turn. Because if we flash in Felia, then we can warp the Starfield Shepherd, get a land, play that, hold up Swords to Plowshares, blink the Starfield Shepherd. It's just a matter of what combo deckers are opponent on that they mold all the way to 4. And it looks like it's Oops All Spells. Do they have a turn 1 win with this is the question. Spirit Guide, Cabal Ritual. If they don't have more fast mana and it's just the Undercity, no, it's Balustrade Spy. Okay. Well, we got turn 1. It happens. We will see what is in our opponent's deck. See if there's any crazy jukes here. Or if it's just a stock Oops All Spells list. Looks pretty stock. It is notable there is no Memories Journey here. And they're getting 4 Narcomoebas back, so I can't even plow one in response to the Dread Return. So we are going to go to game 2. Got turn 1 by Oops. It happens. That said... In the sideboard, we go Fairy Macabres in Unlicensed Hearse in Rest in Peace in Felia out, Ephemerates out. We'll keep 2 Swords to Plowshares in just in case they have a creature juke in the sideboard. There's also something to be said about bringing in Stony Silence just in case they have the Goblin Charbelcher juke. Like, we can bring in Stony Silence or Null Rod. Those do shut off some of their fast mana, and it shuts off the Goblin Charbelcher juke. So the more I talk about it, the more I think I'm actually going to bring them in. And again, just trim some redundant legendary stuff here. I honestly feel like Ajani is going to be way too slow for this match, so we'll probably just trim 2 more of those. And we'll try like this and mulligan until we have a hate piece. Fortunately, this is not good enough for turn 1. We gotta mulligan this. We need some sort of hate piece. Okay, we have turn 1 Rest in Peace and turn 1 Unlicensed Hearse. We will keep this. So these are both gonna die to the same style of thing. And Rest in Peace just straight up shuts down the graveyard. I think we're gonna bin the Unlicensed Hearse. We are going to play Wasteland, play a Chrome Mox, put the Exalted Sunborn under it. and then play Rest in Peace. And if they have Force of Vigor plus a turn 1 win, so be it. And our plan for next turn is probably nuke their land Guide of Souls? Alright, land tapped, Lion's Eye Diamond. So they could be on a Goblin Charbelcher juke. That is very much a thing that could happen here. We hit a Halia. I think we're just going to play Guide of Souls, nuke their land. Try to keep them off of being able to Goblin Charbelcher us. And kind of just hope that we hit lands. Another land tapped, okay. We hit an Ocelot Pride, so we'll play the Ocelot Pride, get some energy, get in, and hope that their hand isn't land, ritual, Goblin Charbelcher. Get a token. Start working our way up to the City's Blessing. There is a scenario where we can actually get enough life off of this that we are able to survive a Goblin Charbelcher. Eat Gonjo. Okay, so we will play Gonjo, warp in a Starfield Shepherd, go grab another basic, or we could just say fuck it and grab another Ocelot Pride. That might actually be a better option here. Get in with everything, and we will throw the Ocelot Pride into the air to gain some more life. Like I said, there is a world where we can actually get out of Goblin Charbelcher range, and that involves multiple Ocelot Prides. Simian Spirit Guide. Do they just have the Charbelcher? Lion's Eye Diamond. Cabal Ritual. Okay. Do they have some kind of Stormwind? And there's the Charbelcher. Okay. I mean, you've heard my thoughts on this deck. I don't think it needs to be banned out of the format. But I will admit these play patterns are absolutely fucking miserable. But okay. On to the final round. Let's see if we can get half of our play points back. Been a bit of a rough streak here lately, but on to the next one. Alright, final round. Lost the die roll. Yet another one-lander. Yet another no-colored lander. This deck kind of mulligans like shit, if we're being completely honest. Okay, we're going to keep this. I think we're going to bin the Speaker. I think we're just going to bin the Wasteland for now. We have not run into very many matches where Wasteland has been good today. And I'd rather just try to curve out into cats than anything at this point. Opponent kept on 7. We'll see what they're on. Volcanic Island. So I'm guessing this is going to be some sort of tempo matchup. A Plains. As much as I don't want to, we're going to play Ocelot Pride into Daze. If they Daze, it sets them back a land. They're brainstorming. So is this Cutter? Is this Delver? What style of blue-red is this? If we get a Force of Will out of them, that's great. They could also just found like a Lightning Bolt or something to get rid of this. Flooded Strand from the opponent. Alright, they're not getting rid of it yet. We hit a Halia. So I think we're going to go ahead and play our Plains, play a Johnny, see if we get a reaction out of this. Like, Lightning Bolt into Daze here absolutely sucks, but it is what it is. Force of Will pitching Murktide region. Okay. So it was at least a him to Turok and not a Daze. Hit with Ocelot Pride. See if they got anything to say about that. So far, no. We get a little token. Next turn, we're probably going to warp both Exalted Sunborn and Halia. Thundering Falls from the opponent. Got rid of a Wasteland. Makes sense. We're playing on basics. Misty Rainforest from the opponent. Corey Steel Cutter. Okay, so they are a Cutter deck. Is this going to be a cantrip or a removal spell is the question. Removal spell. Lightning Bolt. Okay. Well, we will just play a Halia then. You can get him for 2. We hit a Swords to Plowshares. I think we're just going to go ahead and play Halia. Like, it feels bad to Swords a token here. Halia resolves, and it can block a token pretty well. We'll get him for 1. Like, just get our chip shot damage in where we can. We're saving the Swords to Plowshares for something like a Murktide region. Brainstorm. Okay, so they're going to be able to trigger the Corey Steel Cutter, no problem. Again, a removal spell is like the worst thing that they can find here, but 1 Lightning Bolt is down already, but there are 3 more in the deck. Ponder, okay, so just cantripping through their deck to trigger Corey Steel Cutter. We can kind of deal with a single Corey Steel Cutter. And we could try to block this Monk token, but if they have any other spell, it gets big enough that it just kills the Halia. So I don't know if it's worth the block here. They're swinging it with both. I think we're just going to take the damage here. It's 5 life. We have a source of life gain on the battlefield. And this is a hell of a blowout if they have another spell to cast. Yeah, they had another Brainstorm anyways. So that would have been a blowout. Took our 7 to 13. Okay, I like Thalia. We can play that. that can pretty profitably block a monk. I think we're going to get in, at least with the Halia. This also restricts their ability to cast multiple spells in a turn. Lightning Bolt. Oh no, Unholy Heat on the... Okay. Again, annoying, but not the end of the world here. This does unlock the ability to make another token into a Dragon Rage Channeler, which we're probably just going to bolt or Source of Plowshares on site. I am far more concerned about that than taking 6 off of this stuff. We'll take our damage. We're not in chump block mode quite yet. Unfortunately, we do need to Swords the Dragon Rage Channeler. Just get their selection off of the battlefield. Another Thalia. Well, we will play that, gain a little life back. And we will get in with Halia. Now I think this cat is on chump block duty. We might have to warp in this Exalted Sunborn just for the sake of... Jesus, okay. Well, they should be out of cards, so we can profitably block a monk here and chump block another one. Because they would need a land plus a bauble to be able to trigger again. And this does turn on Delirium for Dragon Rage Channeler, which unfortunately is able to block this turn. Top bottom, we're going to take 4. We'll chump block 1, just straight up kill the other one. Take 4, go to 5. We are virtually dead on board here. A Johnny isn't bad. I like that quite a bit. This gives us 2 life. And then it just comes down to, do we want to block... Because we can get in with the Halia, but then they can block with the Dragon Rage Channeler. I think we have to stay back on defense here, unfortunately. And if they do swing in, we can just throw away a Cat Warrior token to be able to flip a Johnny and have a guaranteed source of life. This looks like a Murktide Regent. Alright, they were able to get a Murktide Regent without losing Delirium, so we need a Swords to Plowshares, and we need it now. They're probably only getting in with the Dragon Rage Channeler, yep, which I can't block. And that puts us dead to board if we don't find an answer to this Murktide Regent. Witch Enchanter doesn't do anything. We can make a bunch of bodies. Yeah, nope. They got us. They just got off too fast. And that Witch Enchanter was way too slow to be able to take out that Quarry Steel Cutter. So against our opponent, Deafening Silence in, Thalia in, Exercise in. I think we gotta trim some of this top-end warp stuff. Trim down on the legendary stuff. Get rid of Speaker of the Heavens. And maybe we trim 1 Ephemerate? And we try something like that. Okay, I like this. We can keep this. We will turn 1 Deafening Silence and hope for the best. Play a Plains. Play a Deafening Silence. See if this resolves. It does, so at least Quarry Steel Cutter is shut off for right now. Blooded Strand from the opponent. Cracks it. Into a Dragon Rage Channeler. Wasteland. Alright, we're going to restart the game. Get rid of the Valk. Source of Plowshares the Dragon Rage Channeler. Restart the game. Ooh, opponent kept a 1-lander. I like that. We hit another Deafening Silence. We are going to have this enter tapped. Play Ocelot Pride. And then next turn, we're probably just going to bolt this in, play in a Johnny, play a second Deafening Silence. Alright, opponent is still missing lands. Pitches a Daze, okay. Yeah, we're just going to do what I said. We are going to bolt this in, play in a Johnny, get a token, play a second Deafening Silence, just start working our way toward the City's Blessing as quickly as possible. This gets us to 9 permanents at the end of turn. Alright, opponent finally found a land. Lightning Bolt on the Ajani. Okay. I mean, that makes sense, but we've still got a decent clock going on here. And we hit a Thalia, so we're going to go ahead and play that. Really restrict their mana even further. They haven't had any counter so far. Get in with everything. And this should get us the City's Blessing now. It does. We get 2 cats. I like our position right now. There definitely are draws that can get them out of this, but they were mana screwed long enough that I don't think it matters. There's a Dragon Rage Channeler. I don't really care about that at the moment. We hit a Guide of Souls. We will play Guide of Souls. And opponent scoops it up to that. Okay, we were able to just overrun them there. So let's Let's honestly do the same thing. I'm still tempted to bring in some sort of graveyard hate to keep the Dragon Rage Channeler small and keep a Murktide region off the battlefield. The question is it worth it? Like, we could bring in, let's say, an Unlicensed Hearse. And what do we take out if we do that? Maybe we just take out the last Ephemerate and, like, we're not going to play around removal at all. Like, they have so much anyways, and we only have 2 Ephemerates. It's probably worth it to bring some sort of graveyard hate in against them instead. So let's try that. Okay, I like this. This is another turn 1 Deafening Silence, followed up by removal and land destruction. So Scalding Tarn for the opponent. Cracks it. Are they going to play around Wasteland is the question. Can they play around Wasteland? Not playing around it yet. Into a Tamiyo and a Bobble. Alright, so they see what we're drawing. A land. Okay, so we can play Karakas to be able to bounce the Tamiyo. We can try to just kill the Tamiyo here, or we can try to take them off of mana and hope that they can't ever flip it. Or we can just play a Deafening Silence and hope that that shuts down their game plan. We have a lot of options here. I think we're going to go with let's just Swords the Tamiyo and hope they don't have a counter. Okay, no counter so far. They could set up a whatchamacallit here, a Quarry Steel Cutter, and if they have a Bobble, they can activate it right away. Okay, Dragon Rage Channeler is fine. I'm not super concerned about that at the moment. And I think what we're going to do here is play a Wasteland, play a Deafening Silence, and blow up their land. And then next turn we can either play Halia, or we can try to play an Ajani. Thundering Falls, bend a Volcanic Island off of that. Interesting. So they have mana. Okay, that's a little annoying, but not the end of the world. Another Deafening Silence. I think we're going to try to play Halia here. They haven't had any counter spells so far. And unfortunately, we don't have double white to be able to warp this in and play a Johnny. Halia enters. They could have a removal spell for this, but we're getting a little bit of life back. They still only have 2 card types in the graveyard. Okay, Lightning Bolt. They are still at the point where they can only play 1 non-creature spell a turn. Bend a Force of Will, so they're not worried about counters. Going after my Ancient Tomb, okay. They have another land. They could get a relatively small Murktide region here if they wanted to. We'll take our 1. We hit another Plains. Well, let's continue to play around Wasteland. Playing a Johnny. Ooh, Force of Will pitching a Spell Pierce, okay. Another Wasteland to the graveyard. They have 1 card in hand. Still only 3 card types in the graveyard. This is still only a 1/1 for right now. We can also get it off of Delirium pretty quickly if we hit a Unlicensed Hearse. And I think if we don't draw anything else, we're going to go ahead and just play this Deafening Silence, just to have a backup. Another Karakas. Well, we'll play a Karakas. Play a second Deafening Silence. We still do need to find an answer to this Dragon Rage Channeler at some point. If they want to blow up the Karakas with the Wasteland, yeah, that's fine. We have a redundant one anyways. Okay, there's a Bobble. Are they going to be able to turn on Delirium? I think they bend a land. Yes, they did. That was their only spell for the turn. They're going to have 2 cards in hand at the end of all of this. Okay, I like Felia quite a bit. We can go ahead and play that. Play Karakas. We can flash in Felia, and we have protection for it if we need it. Do they have another Surveil land? No. Just fetching the Thin. Petty Theft on 1 of the Deafening Silences. This turns on Delirium. Or actually, no, it doesn't, because that goes to Exile. They bend a Daze. That's fine. Another land. They have the mana to be able to play Brazen Borrower now. Another Dragon Rage Channeler. Okay, so we need to get the board under control here pretty quickly. Not even bothering to attack. Well, we will get Infelia. We drew a land. We can play Witch Enchanter, but it doesn't really do anything here. So we will play the Deafening Silence again. Get in and attack. We are going to blink one of the Dragon Rage Channelers out of the way. Get in for our damage. It comes back. Didn't bother fetching. Interesting. Another land. Okay. So they can get in for 2 with the Dragon Rage Channelers if they want to, or they can hold back. The Brazen Borrower can't block. We hit an Ancient Tomb. I guess we'll just play that out. We will cast Witch Enchanter. Unfortunately, it's going to cost us a little bit of life. And then we are going to get in, blink a Channeler again, just to make sure this gets through. Alright, now they're fetching. They're going to play their Brazen Borrower. Have a Clock in the Air. Ponder. Can they flip a creature into the graveyard? So far, no. If they can turn Delirium on, this is scary. Alright, they liked something they saw on top. This is the only non-creature spell they get to cast this turn. Is this a Murktide region? Oh, that actually turned on Delirium. So we're about to take 9. That is definitely not good. Yep, getting in for 9. I'm down to 4. They're at 11. We need a hell of a draw here. One of my lifelinking flyers would be good. We hit a plains, and yeah, that's game. We can swing in for 4. I can blink something. They still swing back for 9. Yeah, that is the game. I mean, I'll get in just for the hell of it and let them see whatever their last card was. I was going to blink the Witch Enchanter. Maybe they saw a Murktide Regent, but they should have been able to cast it last turn. Like, the smart thing is just move to combat and swing. Alright, opponent did draw a Corey Steelcutter, but they must have another creature to be able to trigger it or something. Kraken Polluted Delta. I'm assuming this is a Murktide Regent based off of how they're playing here. Is there... No, they're just going to equip the Corey Steelcutter. Okay. Yeah, no, we're dead. We will let them hit us and finish the game out. Yeah, that was a little disappointing. I got some thoughts about this deck, but I will share all of those in the wrap-up.
So that was a really, really rough league. I'm not going to lie. As I mentioned during the gameplay, and as you saw, this deck really does not mulligan well. While a lot of the cards are powerful individual cards, they're not really legacy level powerful on their own. You need a critical mass of your creatures to really be able to get your engine going. And if you have to mulligan deep, since there's no true card advantage in the deck, other than maybe if you squint at Starfield Shepherd a little funny, being able to build the resources to really get your engine online after a deep mulligan is a really tall ask for this deck. We also saw that quite a few times we had individual cards that on their own, they don't really do anything. Halia is great if you have creatures to play following it up, or if you already have your token engine online. Same thing with Exalted Sunborn. Like, the warp ability does absolutely nothing unless you already have token generators online, or you have a way to be able to blink it with Felia or Ephemerate. We also saw multiple times that Ephemerate really didn't actually do all that much in the deck. We didn't really see it acting as a removal counter very often, and sure, you can get a little bit of advantage from being able to blink out like a Starfield Shepherd or a Halia or an Ocelot Pride or something, but just blinking something like an Exalted Sunborn or a Guide of Souls or a Thalia, they don't have an ETB that does anything, so you're basically just either saving them from removal or cheating on a casting cost in the case of Exalted Sunborn. We also saw, despite the fact that our deck has quite a lot of high-end stuff and only has 15 1-drops, we've really struggled up against Chalice of the Void. And while Witch Enchanter main was great, and we did get to see that one game where we were able to blink Witch Enchanter to blow up multiple artifacts and enchantments, it's still really slow not being able to truly get that online until turn 3 or turn 4. The fast mana in this deck also felt kind of lacking considering how many 2 and 3 drops we wanted to cast early. There's only 2 Chromoxes and only 3 Ancient Tombs, so it feels like it's trying to be a Stompy deck but not having the mana base to truly support it. And I know it's not actually a Stompy deck, but a lot of the times it kind of feels like it's playing like one. Also, with the rise of Orcish Bowmasters coming back into the meta over the past few months, like, a lot of your creatures just straight up die to it. You've got Ocelot Pride, you've got Thalia, you've got the cat tokens of all sorts, and this is another one of those decks where anything with 1 toughness is just going to be super easy to remove. We also run into the Tamiyo issue, where all of our Ocelot Pride tokens and our Ocelot Pride itself are 1 power creatures. So if our opponent is able to flip a Tamiyo right away and we don't have like a Guide of Souls to start accruing energy to pump those things, it basically just stonewalls us, and we can go as wide as we want, but since all of our creatures are only 1 power, they just get absolutely blanked by Tamiyo just upticking and giving it all the time in the world to reach ultimate and basically take over the game. I will say this deck can do some absolutely insane things. Getting an Ocelot Pride down with a Guide of Souls and an Exalted Sunborn is just absolutely crazy. there were some games I played during testing this that I was able to amass like 40 tokens at end of turn once I had the City's Blessing, if I had all three of those things on the battlefield, and I got up to like 80 something life in the process. And the deck definitely has power to it, but it needs a lot of things to go right. I do like the flash ability on Felia, and she felt really, really good in this deck overall, especially being able to blink things that have ETBs to be able to make more tokens off of a Johnny, being able to blow up more stuff with Witch Enchanter, gain some extra life if you don't have any other creatures to cast with Halia and Guide of Souls, and being able to reuse Starfield Shepherd's ETB to make sure that your lands keep coming, or to be able to tutor up some more one-drop creatures to keep the train going felt great. The sideboard honestly feels pretty good for the most part. I will admit, I didn't realize until like halfway through the league that Exercise is a sorcery. I don't think I like it as much as I did going into the league now that I realize it's a sorcery, but it definitely has utility. But I would definitely say that's something you can consider taking out and swapping out for something else. I almost feel like I wanted a true disenchant just so I had a way to blow up a Chalice of the Void sooner than turn 3 or 4 with Witch Enchanter, or to be able to like blow up any other problematic permanents. I do admit the exile clause on Exercise is nice because it is a way to get rid of the One Ring, but I think No Rod is probably a better choice there, just because you've still got to wait until your turn, so your opponent can still get at least one card off of their One Ring, whereas No Rod just shuts it down and it basically just acts as a fog for a turn. But I will say, I know this deck has legs. It is powerful. It has put up some results. I had some bad running. I admit I made play mistakes. But overall, if you want to go with this kind of white, overrun your opponent's style deck, I honestly would recommend just playing the true energy deck. It's more streamlined, it's more consistent, and leaning more into the energy package, I think, is just much stronger than trying to do what this warp deck is trying to do here. If you want to go with the blink aspect, then I recommend playing the like Orzhov Tax's sewer deck and getting the access to the black and more creatures that have beneficial ETBs, and it's just much more disruptive and resilient than this is. This is kind of trying to toe the line between being an aggro deck and being a disruptive hate bears deck. And I think if you want to play either of those styles, just pick a deck that is truly in one of those lanes and is able to do either one of those game plans better, instead of trying to like walk the line between them. But that is White Warp for Legacy. I hope you all had as much fun watching as I did playing. I will catch you all in the next video. And as always, stay salty.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope you like what you saw. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like and sub button below. They are free ways to support the channel. And drop a comment, let me know what you like. Any kind of feedback you got, your opinions on my gameplay, the decks that I play, any of that kind of stuff. If you really like what you see, go ahead and drop by the Patreon. Become a patron, get to read some of my tournament reports and some stuff going on outside of just Magic in my life that I'm going to start putting over there as kind of my own personal blog. Also, you can do donation deck lists over there, just the price of a league if you have a specific deck you want to see, or you have an idea you want me to brew around, something like that, go ahead and do that. Nothing is required. It's always appreciated, though. Any donations go directly back into the channel, covering stuff such as leagues for donation decks or the rental program that I'm a part of. I am a small-time YouTuber. I'm doing this for fun. I really hope you all like what you saw. I truly appreciate you all stopping by. I will catch you all in the next video, and as always, stay salty.